I'm here to talk about surgical management of liver metastasis from uveal melanoma. There were a lot of questions in the morning. What happens when the lesions go to the liver? How often they go to the liver? What is the surveillance? Everybody is concerned about a liver metastasis because that proves a definitive change in the management. As you know, uveal melanoma has a distinct tumor biology, which is totally different from cutaneous or skin melanoma. And it's unique that liver is the most common site of metastasis because the choroid or uvea doesn't have any lymphatic drainage. It's totally different from a skin melanoma that the cancer spreads through the bloodstream. And we don't have a specific reason why it chooses the liver to go and metastasize first. And some studies say that not only 60 to 80, 90% when the cancer grows out of the eye, it travels to the liver. And you can see the data on the bottom of the slide that is very concerning because if it goes to the liver, if the patient refuses treatment or if there is no treatment given, the survival is very poor, 4 months. And with additional chemotherapy, the survival is 8 months. So we'll see if a surgery or a surgical intervention will make a difference in selected patients. I'm not saying all patients, in selected patients. So in this, we actually looked up our data at Cleveland Clinic, looking at the surgical management options in uveal melanoma, and to see, as I said earlier, is there a survival benefit when we have any form of surgical intervention? We looked up our data for the past 10 years. We had total of 50 patients, and 7 patients we didn't have any clear data or lost in follow-up. So in this study, we had included 43 patients to compare surgery versus non-surgical, meaning that systemic therapy. So we include all those patients who had liver metastasis in this study. We can see that out of the 43 patients, 15 patients on the left of the slide, we could do surgery in 2 of these patients, and we could ablate 13 of these patients. What do you mean by radiofrequency ablation is we insert needles into the liver. We use the ultrasound to locate where the tumor is, and we use heat, basically like a barbecue to be in a common term. So we just introduce needle where we pass electric current, and the current is transferred into a heat which kills the tumor. For selected patients, we can't take the tumor out, but we leave the tumor in, but we try to put in needles under guidance from ultrasound. I'll show you the picture how we do it. And then we kill the tumor. So we had 15 patients in that group, and we compared 28 patients who could not undergo surgery because of the disease was too much to operate or to burn, meaning that if you burn too much of liver, we don't have enough of functioning liver. So after the procedure, the liver has to function to carry on the normal expected metabolic processes in the body. So we had 28 patients who couldn't undergo surgery or the ablation, the heat therapy in common terms. So we had 28 patients in the systemic therapy group. So just to explain this, on the right side of the abdomen, we have the liver here. And when the tumor is here and the rest of the liver is clear, and we have certain parameters, we think if it could be taken out fully. If we could take the tumor fully out, we do cut a portion of the liver, and so the patient is tumor-free. In cases where the tumor is extensive, meaning that this is the right lobe and this is the left lobe, if the tumor is present all over the body, or if they have multiple tumors, we can't be chasing each little tumor. And whatever we see is very little, like a tip of the iceberg. When we see more tumors, it means we have micrometastasis, meaning that we'll have lesions which we are not able to see by conventional imaging like a sonogram or a CAT scan. So those patients do not fare well, even if we attempt to remove the 5 or 6 lesions that we see on a CAT scan. So in those patients, we offer an alternative modality where we insert the needle to burn the liver. So we do it laparoscopically. We don't make a big cuts here. So we make tiny holes in the abdomen, and we use this camera here to see where the intra-abdominally. You can see here on the screen here what we see inside the abdomen, and this is the liver here. And then we introduce an ultrasound probe to see how the liver is and where the tumors are. So we use two cameras basically to visualize. One to see what we are doing in the abdomen, and this is the ultrasound probe, and what we see in the gray skin is the ultrasound screen. So we see both what happens inside the abdomen with this camera, and where is the tumor located in the liver by means of this ultrasound, which can go into the tiny incision here. And once we see the tumor in the liver, we use this needle, the thin here, the structure here is the needle, where we focus and put the needle tip into the tumor under visualization and pass the electric current and burn the liver. And how do you assess that we have done a good job? So this is the tumor that you could see. This is a CAT scan of the patient, and this is the liver. And you can see the tumor right here, which is totally different from the surrounding normal liver. So once we put the needle here, the tip burns the whole liver out. And a week later, we do a CAT scan to see if we had done a good job. So you can see the big area is burnt. So if this is approximately 2 centimeter, we go like 4 centimeter to make sure that we burn the whole thing out, not to leave anything. And then we do a CAT scan to compare. You can see the comparison. Definitely this area is totally burned because we had like more coverage in the CAT scan done. So this is another picture where you can see the lesion is close to one of the big veins. We can't do any surgery for this patient because the blood flow to the liver will later be affected, or the blood outflow will be affected. So we planned ablation. You can see the black zone. This is actually a dead liver and also the dead tumor. So as I mentioned earlier, we just try to compare, although statistically speaking or medical terms, these numbers are very, very less because we have very few patients. This is a rare tumor. But we try to compare the two treatment regimens. We had 15 patients in the surgical group, and we had 28 patients who could not undergo surgery, but their liver metastasis was treated with the alternate chemotherapy or embolization. So we compared the age groups look similar, the gender looks similar, but we could see that there is a definite difference. 2.4 centimeters in the surgical group is the average size of the tumor that we chose to take them for surgery, and 3.5 for systemic therapy. So there is definitely a difference of 1 centimeter, meaning that we choose smaller tumors, not the bigger ones. And you can see the number of liver tumors here. The patient's average number of liver tumors is 4 in the surgical group versus 10. As I said earlier, if a patient has a 10 liver tumor, we can't be chasing every one of them. And there will be micrometastasis, meaning that there will be tumors which we don't see in the CAT scan or ultrasound. So this group is carefully chosen, selected patients that we do surgery. And we also see that the tumor itself is a different tumor what we chose for surgery. We looked up it and said, like, this is the time from diagnosis of the eye tumor to the liver metastasis. See, these patients developed the metastasis after 64 months, meaning that after 5 years average, meaning that the tumors are really slow growing, meaning that it is a very less aggressive cancer. But you can see in this group, like patient had like more tumors, they go to the liver quickly. So they had taken only 22 months on an average to go to the liver from the eye, meaning that they grow faster and they're more aggressive. And this is considered a significant number. If the patient develops a liver lesion 2 years after the eye, they do better. So we have 12 patients in the surgical group, meaning that they are better group. And we have only 8 patients here in the systemic group, meaning that the tumor biology or the aggressiveness is less in the chosen group in the surgical group. And you can see the bilobar tumors, meaning that the tumors are in both sides of the liver, are only 8, but they are 28 in this systemic group. We don't see any difference in the complications. The complications are very minimal in the surgical group. The ablation or the heat therapy has a very minimal complication. That's one advantage of doing the heat therapy. Another advantage is that you can repeat the treatment again. For example, a patient gets a liver lesion, and we can repeat the treatment after 6 months if the tumor comes back. That's one advantage of having a heat therapy. Other than that, you can see the follow-up, like patients who have come to the clinic after the procedure is done is like 27, and the systemic therapy is only 10 months. And it indirectly means that they don't live longer once they have like in that group of a systemic therapy. The surgical group literally live longer because they had a less aggressive tumor. Other than that, like look at statistically, I'm not very comfortable saying like, oh, this is good and data, because we have very less numbers and we have very less experience regarding the comparison. And you can see overall survival in this group, they live for average of 40 months after diagnosis of the liver metastasis and treated surgically. When you compare this, only 15 months in the systemic group. This is just to show that, patients who never had surgery, this is a survival, meaning that they don't live longer. The number of months they live is only 30 months. But those patients who had surgery or ablation, in selected patients, they live longer. You can see the line goes longer, and this is the months of survival after the treatment with surgery or ablation. So number of patients who live for 5 years in the surgical group are 21%, and none of the patients in the systemic group survived 5 years. Just to give an idea about what's happening outside in the surgical intervention, if a patient undergoes a surgical intervention, these are studies done by scientists or surgeons in different places in the world. And you can see a 5-year survival in the surgical group is 21 to 40%. But this is the biggest study. This was done in France by Dr. Belghiti's group. They had like 798 patients with liver metastasis, specifically from uveal melanoma, not skin cancer. And 1/3 of the patients underwent surgery. But the survival is like really, 5-year survival is like 7%, but median survival is like 14 months, which is not great. And this is our study. We had like 43 patients. 15 patients had like surgical intervention. We have a median survival of 40 months, which is really promising. And the 5-year survival rate is like 21%, which is better. So to conclude, we carefully choose the patients who can undergo surgical intervention, meaning that less tumors, who can be resected, and in selected patients, we have a survival benefit. I cannot extrapolate that this can happen same way in other centers. If you do the same thing in other centers, it can happen, because these are highly selected patients and my numbers are too small. And we're talking about effective surveillance, like should we do an ultrasound or a CAT scan? So whatever it is, we need to have an effective surveillance to pick up these tumors early, because once they involve both the sides of the liver, the options are very limited. And if the tumors are too big to be operated, and it's difficult. And we have to look for newer modalities of treatment, and we have to do like a genetic profiling, because each patient's tumor behaves differently. Some people you have seen like they live for 39 years, some people live for 5 years. So each tumor is different. If we subgroup or analyze these tumors, we can carefully choose patients who can undergo surgery and who can benefit from surgery, and not all patients are candidates for surgery. Questions? Thank you.